Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to cover playing shorts against the longs and what happens to the NAV. Some people say, hey, the NAV stays the same. Some people say, hey, the NAV will go down. Some people say, hey, they don't know, just show me the video. So we're going to take two different examples: Corny against Fiat, Tesla against Crash. I use Tesla mostly because there's more data, and I'm basing this 100% off the data. Again, I went out to Yahoo Finance, I downloaded the information, created the graphs, so you can actually see what's going on. So let's first, I posted a video just a few minutes ago, right, about capital erosion versus NAV erosion, and what the difference is, and how strike prices could affect this. If any of this seems foreign, go watch that video. That's why I made that video, so you can understand this. So firstly, I took Tesla versus Crash. One thing is, when Crash came out, it was right around an expiration date, so I went after the ex-dividend date and after the distribution came out for Tesla, so that didn't get into account. There was only been 3 payouts since the two funds were established. If you just look at capital returns, meaning if I didn't reinvest and I only took what they paid, well, guess what? Not so good for you, because I added the two prices together to get my NAV. So I bought 1 share of Tesla, 1 share of Crash, added those two prices together to give me a combined total, to give me what the NAV would be. And as the chart shows, the NAV stays steady. Then they do a distribution. Check out capital erosion again. But you can see the fund prices stayed pretty steady. And when there was some volatility, Crash went up. Or when there was some volatility, Crash went down, Tesla went up. They worked the inverse, just like they're supposed to. But then again, NAV went down. Capital erosion. The prices went through those strike prices. They have to settle in cash. Where do you think they're getting that cash from? According to some fund managers, they're reinvesting. Okay, we're going to just leave that one alone. Next thing you know, Tesla price goes down. The chart shows that the price goes down. Crash goes up. They make some more winning calls, but the NAV goes down. The only reason that NAV would go down, ladies and gentlemen, is the price either on the inverse or the price that they sold their calls for. It went through the strike prices. That's it. There's no other reason for the NAV to go down except for it to go through the strike prices. That's why when I look at some of these very high yielders, you have to reinvest back into the funds. If you think, hey, I'm only going to take money out and everything's going to be fine, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. What I get excited about, and I will be very excited about, I think if you've watched a couple of my videos, I'm very excited about how they're compounding. Literally how they're compounding. That's what excites me about Roundhill. Weekly compounding. Weekly compounding. Some people say, yeah, we're reinvesting for you. I didn't see any additional strikes. I didn't see additional calls being out there. How are you reinvesting? Answer me that one. I'd like to take 2 seconds of your time. Please hit the like, subscribe, ring the notification bells. More videos to come. Thank you. Next one comes to what happens to Corny against Fiat. They've only had one together. Inversely, they work exactly what they're supposed to do. But capital erosion, price goes through the strikes. It just happens. This is how the funds is structured. Now, again, what excites me is they have high payouts. And if you're reinvesting those high payouts, then something interesting magically happens. Because I just showed you your NAV erosion went down. But if you reinvested for those 3 times, then what happens? Very interesting chart. Compounding happens. Somebody very smarter than me, without a doubt, said compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. He was smart. I'm not that smart. And if he says it's the 8th wonder of the world, I'm going to believe him. When I look at portfolio, 50% Tesla, 50% crash, magically, I didn't lose any money if I compounded and reinvested back into the funds. Interesting. So NAV went down. We just showed you NAV went down. But my portfolio says I have the same amount of money. Actually slightly more, due to the compounding effect of putting my money back into this. That's why I'm trying to come up with the burger rule of how long does it take for this to actually play out for you to be able to withdraw successfully as a retiree, as a young person, because it excites me about the compounding effect, not how well everybody's writing their strike prices. And I'm talking about all these funds. I'm picking on Yield Max right now, but I'm talking about Roundhill. I'm talking about Neos. I'm talking about JEPI and JEBQ and everybody else. This is not just one factor. These are multiple factors. So I also looked at what's my distributions. If I had 50-50, you can see the distributions clearly goes down $1,400. Over $2,000 if you just held Tesla alone. And you can see crash, hey, they paid you $904. And this is all reinvested back into the fund. You have to reinvest back into the fund so that funds appreciate through compounding. I then took a little snapshot, and this is only because Tesla and Tesla went up, and took 75% into Tesla and 25% into crash, and gave you what it would look like. It's interesting. It comes out to a play of, hey, my portfolio went up in price. Very good. Compounding effect again. And my distributions also went up. Now I'm making, $1,700, and that's only because I have more in Tesla than crash. Now, inversely, if the price of Tesla went down, crash would come back up, right? Tesla would go down in NAV, but if you reinvest the distributions back and get that compounding effect and hold it for long enough, it excites me. It doesn't excite me to see week after week after week of NAV erosion. That doesn't excite me. But what excites me is, hey, if you hold onto these funds for long enough and the compounding effect occurs, you can get life-changing money. Just that this might not be for the retirees. The retirees may be better off in something a little more stable, a NEOS, maybe a FEPI, one of these other funds that still pay decent yields, an SFAL. They might be better off from some of these decent funds because they don't have time to hold and get the compounding effect. Younger people, 5 years or more, may be able to do something like this and have the compounding effect. Just calling it as I see it. Until next time, God bless.